death. Insulin became a hope as a quest for a cure continued. That hope is symbolized by a flame that burns as a memorial to the lives lost to diabetes, as a tribute to Dr. Frederick G. Banting and his colleagues' pursuit of insulin, and as a recognition of the continuing perseverance of those who live with diabetes today. It burns continually as the quest for a cure is unrelentingly sought. Until a cure is found, the flame of hope. Dr. Frederick G. Banting lived and practiced medicine in London, Ontario in and around 1920. It was in this house that he came up with the idea for the experiments that would lead to the discovery of insulin. An article in the Detroit Free Press, December 9, 1923, first dubbed this house as the birthplace of insulin. In 1981, the home was purchased by the Canadian Diabetes Association. Today, it is fully restored and is known as Banting House. A portion of Banting House is preserved as a museum for memorabilia and artifacts of the life and times of Dr. Banting. On July 7, 1989, a further step was taken in recognizing Banting and his role in the discovery of insulin. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, unveiled a life-size statue of Sir Frederick Banting and ignited the flame of hope as national and international media and thousands of onlookers gathered to witness the event, which was broadcast live on CFPL TV London, and the signal was made available by satellite to distant stations. Escorted by the Premier of the province of Ontario, David Peterson, and the Queen's representative, Lieutenant Governor Lincoln Alexander, Her Majesty arrived and was greeted by His Honor Judge John M. Seneschin and Mrs. Seneschin. Judge Seneschin was the central organizer in the move to preserve Banting House and in the creation of the Flame of Hope. He then presented Her Majesty to the honorary chairman of the London branch of the Canadian Diabetes Association, Colonel Tom Lawson and Mrs. Lawson. To the national president of CDA, Dr. Men Tan and Mrs. Tan. And to Dr. George Manning, who is a colleague of Dr. Banting. And to the president of the London District Branch, Murray Wood and Mrs. Wood. To Klaus Copeland, the executive vice president of the London District Branch, and Mrs. Copeland. Mr. Wood invited Her Majesty to unveil a statue of Dr. Banting.
All of us, Your Majesty, warmly welcome you to our midst and thank you for graciously accepting our invitation to join us here today at Banting Square. Your presence underscores our efforts, and we sincerely hope that you will take away with you the memory of a dedicated group engaged in the battle of its life. We are honored to associate ourselves with the name of Dr. Sir Frederick G. Banting, whose devotion to his duty and to mankind has enabled countless thousands of diabetics here in Canada and around the world to lead normal lives instead of staving off the effects of diabetes through slow starvation. Such a man richly deserves to be immortalized, and we have tried to provide evidence of this by commissioning a statue to this great Canadian. Your Majesty, we can think of no more appropriate person than yourself to commemorate the statue to Dr. Sir Frederick Grant Banting, and we now invite you to unveil this work of art for all to see and to ponder on in the years to come. Your Majesty.
It is a special pleasure to me to unveil the statue of Sir Frederick Banting, a man of exceptional brilliance, skill, and foresight. to whom generations of people throughout the world owe so much. Through his dedication, hope has been brought to countless homes, and his example has been an inspiration to doctors, scientists, specialists, and nurses to carry out further research.
Following the unveiling, the sculptor, Mr. John Meshnikowski and Mrs. Meshnikowski, were presented to the Queen Mother. A presentation was made by Klaus Copeland, the Executive Vice President of the London and District Branch.
Your Majesty, my colleague, Mr. Wood, has touched upon the hope that this occasion will be a happy memory for you, and to make sure that this memory will stay fresh, we would like you to accept this gift, a limited edition print of the house in which the idea of insulin was born in the mind of Dr. Banting.
The day was made even more memorable and significant when Colonel Tom Lawson made a presentation to the national president of the Canadian Diabetes Association, Dr. Meng Tan, in honor of Her Majesty.
A cure for diabetes must be found, and it will be found. And of course, it takes money. These checks came in the form of a donation to the Charles H. Best Diabetes Research Fund. They total $1 million. With your permission, Your Majesty, could I have Dr. Tan, our distinguished president of the Canadian Diabetes Association, come forward and accept this $1 million check before I get a chance to spend it. Dr. Tan? All of us. You've got the custody now.
On behalf of the Canadian Diabetes Association, I would like to thank the thousands of CDA volunteers from coast to coast who raised this money to fund research seeking a cure for diabetes. Thank you.
The hope for a cure for diabetes was kindled in the hearts of those present and across the country as Judge John M. Seneschan asked Her Majesty to light the flame.
Your gracious presence here amongst us today not only does us great honor, but it sheds a bright light on the untiring efforts of our association to work with medical researchers in Canada and abroad in the fight against this dreadful disease, diabetes. The light that your visit sheds is symbolized by the flame of hope. In all personal humility, I am now honored and proud to invite you to kindle. There's a switch. Okay.
I'll just say it to them. Well, I'm so very pleased to be able to light the flame of hope. And I would like to pay my tribute to the Canadian Diabetes Association for its praiseworthy campaign to further the cause of diabetes research. This flame will be extinguished the very moment that diabetes is finally conquered.
Here.
What do I do?
Just push it forward. There she goes. There it goes up there. See the...
Yes, I see.